Ladies and gentlemen, while you're with us here tonight, I would like to ask you to try to forget about the world outside completely. Try not to think about anything outside of this room. Anything at all. Try to forget about cars and cigarettes.
I think a list is the loosest bag for holding some things together. I mean, you know, a list is a looser bag for holding some things together than a story, for example, where the story has directly that thing has to lead to that thing, has to lead to that thing, has to lead to that thing. And the list can be, you know, very loose. It only has to really ascribe some kind of commonality to all those things. And you know, in that sense, many of the shows are kind of like lists. Speak Bitterness, the confessing show, is a list of confessions in a strange way.
The company we set up was fictitious, just a trading screen for another company, which in turn was just a trading screen for a third company, and so on. You could chase the money halfway around the world and still never find out where it ended up.
We gathered together in groups larger than 7.
Yeah.
We had no written constitution. We woke in heaven. We looked away at the exact moment when the goal was scored. We went to bed with Frank and Nancy. We went over the bridge. We listened to blood music. We sat in empty rooms. We were the traffic cops of the soul.
We gave Helen 15 minutes to pack our bags and get out of the house. We spat in other people's beer. We were not at our best in the mornings. We did not feed the neighbour's cat. We never danced at weddings. We never thought. We never said how much we needed each other. We were housebreakers.
I think the casting the show is sort of part of how you can structure it, and you know, a way of organising that material. Because it's, in some shows there's something very pleasurable to be had in somebody that's hardly used, but they're a constant presence all the time. Because you kind of keep looking back to them and relating that back to the kind of the main action, if you like. And I think there's that disparity can be very productive, because it's, for the audience, it's just about sort of making them ask questions about what they're watching in a way, and about how you inhabit that stage and what it is to be on stage and what your expectations kind of thing.
We think a lot about, I suppose, also within a piece, about checks and balances. That's perhaps another way to talk about what Kathy's talking about, that this person might be very exaggerated and ridiculous, or this section might be very exaggerated and ridiculous. Well, I'm going to want to see underneath that, you know. So you'll take it down to something much more kind of intimate, or you'll have at the same time somebody very ridiculous and somebody much more kind of intimate. Or you might think about, I suppose, in every piece you're kind of in a way setting up certain propositions or questions. How do you answer those?
And then you look out, and then you notice that from this rooftop you've got a really lovely view of the city. Didn't strike you as being a particularly tall building, but you've got a really good vantage point here over the city. And as you look down, you just into your mind that appears this picture of what you might look like were you to have fallen off and hit the ground, and you start to wonder, well, why aren't I doing that?
Oftentimes there's a period, I suppose, more towards the middle, where you have several different versions or models of how the show could be, and I think we're often trying to keep quite separate possibilities open. Like, so for example, you know, there might be a version of this new show which starts with a 10-minute monologue from one of the performers
on your shins as they rub against it, and then suddenly things start to move kind of quickly. You can see
puts that single performer in a really, really strong position
past.
for the rest of the show. And I think what we like to do while we're working is say, well, if you're doing that one that starts with the monologue, this that we've just done would suit that rather well.